Ludlow Bailey, an art curator, broker, and advisor, the managing director of CADA, the acronym for Contemporary African Diaspora Art. He specializes in promoting the visual art culture of the African diaspora. He's an avid art advisor for some of the most prestigious museums and art galleries in Europe, the United States, Africa, and the Caribbean. Mr. Bailey will share insights into his significant role in the renowned Art Basel Miami Beach art exhibition, an annual event that is attended by art enthusiasts from around the globe. Hello, Mr. Bailey.
Hello,
Thank
Ms.
you for joining us.
Resto. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, same here. I would like to inform our viewers that you've been educated at Brown University, Harvard, Columbia, the American Classical School in Rome, the University of Dakar, and the University of Ghana, and the American University in Cairo, Egypt. Now, with such an extensive education, you've been all over the world. Can you share with us your inspiration and your journey to becoming an art curator and advisor with a focus on African art? How do you balance your roles as both a curator and an advisor?
Those are some big questions, Janet, but I
Yeah.
will try my best to answer them.
Okay.
Well, let me just say that I fell into this role by really helping a friend, an African-American friend in New York. When I lived in New York, at some period, I was at Columbia University living in Harlem. So I used to have these sessions called Harlem Renaissance Sundays, because that was a period in American history that I found very inspiring. Black folks are really doing a lot of creative work in all kinds of mediums, music and art and fashion and cuisine and film. It was a really great time for Africans in America. So in any event, Eli Kintz was one of the artists who attended my events in Harlem, and we became friends. And he knew that I had a sort of extensive travel background, especially in Europe. So when I was at Brown, I went to the American Classical School in Rome for a year. And so we started there, Italy. And at the time, I was working for Trans World Airlines, and I had access to free travel and to moving cargo for nothing. So that's how it started. I started doing shows for Eli Kintz in Rome, and then we moved to other cities in Europe. And before you know it, I created a new career, as a curator of contemporary African diaspora art. And part of why that happened too is because I've always been very interested in what's happening with Black people on the globe, not just in Jamaica or the United States or the UK or Panama, but the entire globe. So one of the things that's true about European cities, a lot of them are extremely cosmopolitan with lots of different types of African people. Paris would be one. So it was easy for me to generate an audience and to expand the possibilities of showing work from the diaspora period. So I did that for a while, and I actually got picked up by the University of Miami to become a consulting curator there. And I was there for about 10 years. And out of that experience came a panel, which I still produce. It's in its 14th edition. And the focus is on getting people in the profession of art to come together to talk about what's going in the Black visual arts sector globally. So that's how I've become very involved in Basel, because when Basel came here, obviously it generated a bigger audience. And in the process, I started really paying attention to the business. And my primary role is as a curator. So yes, so I go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, right? What factors do you consider when selecting and presenting artworks, from the diaspora globally?
Well, in general, the focus of my curatorial practice is on trying to what I call unpack the metaphysical and spiritual embodiment or the infrastructure, if you will, of Blackness. And so when I'm looking for work, I want to work with artists who are deeply insightful about what it means to be Black. So, and also I'm very conscious of the art space as really a spiritual space. Because for me, I feel artists are really very closely connected to that God creative resource, because I mean, what they actually do is they look at things and see things that we can't see and produce things. It's almost like the whole process of the creation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I look for, because when I work with art, I'm using more than just my intellect or my eyes, my vision. I'm very much a third eye kind of guy, right?
Okay.
I know that
So
sounds
am I.
weird, but yeah.
I
But
feel
that's
I am.
yeah, well, it comes with being a descendant of Africa. I feel that one of the things that's really special about us is that we are pretty intuitive people.
It's innate, sort of.
Yes, it is. We're very intuitive people,
Yeah.
um, and magical and alchemic, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, let me ask you, in your opinion, what are the challenges, right, and opportunities for contemporary African diaspora artists to gain recognition and success in the global art market?
Well, I mean, the challenges are we don't really control the market. We are very small players to some degree because the way the industry works, it's a big industry. I mean, it's over 65 billion and sometimes it climb up to 100 billion depending on what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
But the structure of it is it's say for example the way art gets distributed in the mainstream is mostly through galleries, and the galleries are generally people who are extremely well connected with the 1%, as they say. So we're obviously not in the same position as Black people to have access to extreme wealth. So that becomes a challenge. The good news is, though, that for a very long time, Black art wasn't considered important or even interesting.
Oh,
Now in the last decade or so, it's become very interesting because the the academy has realized it and the museum space has realized it that they need to really diversify their collection because as the world becomes more cognizant of who we are as a people, our art is really one of the best ways of sharing our stories. So,
yeah.
but to answer your question, I think the challenge is um, if you are a Black artist and you're focused mostly on issues that concern us, whether it's just the documentation of our history or issues concerning identity or the politics of being Black in today's world, you would think that the broader community, the white community, would not be as interested in what we do. But clearly we're big creators because what's happening now is the kind of work that we're producing is beginning to dominate the market,
Okay,
and a lot of
really?
a lot of it has to do with, again, our spiritual infrastructure is pretty deep, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm
So
sure we produce some really, out of this world sort
ex-
of art that
we do
captures
because
the eye and the imagination.
it certainly does. I mean, we were talking about Gavin, the Jamaican artist who just
Yeah.
opened a gallery. and he uses nails to produce his
I
work.
know, I saw that.
And it's like
It's so
he's like
creative.
the paintings are almost sculptural pieces, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And what an intense vision and an intense passion for what he does. So when
Yes.
you see it, it takes you on a journey.
Oh, it takes you away. It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, it's
Is
very
that,
good work.
oh, that's such talent.
Yes. And we
It
have a
really,
lot of that going on in the diaspora now. It's just that,
yeah.
you take, for example, Broward County technically only has one Black gallery, and Gavin
Only
just
one?
opened. Yes. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. And
But
which one
Black
is
art,
that?
that's the one that
Oh,
24 Marie
Gavin
that just,
Johnson?
yeah, that just opened. It's amazing. So our presence is not big in the commercial sector of the art business. We do have
Yeah.
a lot of people producing, and so it's a very challenging business to do well in, because you have to be able to gain the attention of the tastemakers.
Yes.
So that requires a lot of branding, a lot of storytelling, and a lot of networking, really,
Hmm.
So, and a lot of times people who are artists, they don't even want to be bothered with the business side of it,
Yeah.
which is not the correct way to approach it, because you got to, I mean, if you're going to make a living from doing art, you really have to learn the business sector.
And that's what I'm curious about. How do we, some people can't afford to buy, the art. I guess art like this is for, millionaires or people
Not
with money.
necessarily, because again, there's a whole range of people who are doing art, right? So what even the tastemakers do and the serious collectors is they try to catch them when they're still in school, because they can
Oh.
get it off of them for nothing. That's what happens, right?
Yeah.
Um, but there are ways of affording it. I mean, if you think middle class Black people buy art, and
Yeah.
depending on your relationship with the artist, or even a gallery that promotes art, there are ways of buying art. I mean, we
Oh,
spend
really?
we spend a lot of money on clothes and jewelry, and right, that kind
You're
of thing.
right.
We can find a way to because
Yeah, we
art
can.
then becomes it you can enjoy it, but it's also an investment.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, is there a project you curated that significantly contributed to the promotion of African diaspora art, contemporary African diaspora art? Is there a project that
Well, I'm
that
hoping that most of what I do, Janet, is having a serious impact. you know Otherwise I'm wasting my time on earth. No, but
Okay.
I would say, I've done a lot of what I like about what I do is I'm always celebrating Blackness,
Hmm.
because the latest show that is called Afro Euphoria, or Euphoria, is
Yeah, I
really
want to talk about
about,
that.
yeah, it's really about celebrating Black joy, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And as I said, even though we're not the richest people on the planet, we are some of the most joyful people on the planet.
Yes,
We love to
that is so
lime and
true. Yeah,
come together and party, even if we don't
that
have any
is
money.
true. Yeah.
Even when our folks die, we want to celebrate,
Celebrate. Yeah.
you know, and we have so much passion with it. Us,
Yeah.
it comes out. You see what our music is like, right? Everywhere
Yes.
in the world, reggae, salsa, merengue, now
I
Afrobeats is
don't
kind
want to
of
say
taking
that, but we dominate.
Oh, I think it's fair to say that. Come on, you can in the music sector, we're definitely the soundtrack of the world,
Yeah, I
for
think
sure,
so. I
for
think
sure.
so. Now let's talk about your events, right? Your involvement in Art Basel. Let me ask you, what is Art Basel?
Okay, so
I
Art
was curious
Basel,
about the word
yeah.
Basel.
So Basel is a city in Switzerland,
Hmm.
and Art Basel is one of the older art fairs. I'm thinking it's more close to 90 years that it's been going on.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So that one of the things that Miami was looking at was ways of increasing their cultural tourism presence. So
Okay.
they were talking to a lot of different countries because the European countries have a lot of fears. It's just part of their economy. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wish the Caribbean could do more of that, but
We
um,
will.
well, I'm sure under your leadership, when you become Prime
Right.
Minister of the United
We can
States of the
both see to that.
Caribbean, yeah, we'll make sure it happens. But so they were successful in getting Basel to start something here in Miami because we had a art fair called Art Miami that was really doing quite well in attracting um, tourism,
Yeah.
attracting tourists to
Yeah.
Miami to come see
Mm-hmm.
art.
Really.
So when Basel started, it just took off, and now it's become the largest commercial art fair in the world.
It is.
It's amazing. Tons of people come here. And then
Yes.
the city has really been quite clever about marketing it because now it's turned into Miami Art Week, and the ballet does Basel, and
Yeah.
theater does Basel, and film does Basel. All the cultural
Come
folks
together.
yes, produce a lot of new work that is just make our city really quite exciting. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, don't try to drive on 95 to South Beach.
No,
I think
not
you
this week.
not this week. So you're gonna have to pull out your private plane, Janet.
Right.
You know, you
I
know.
do understand. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
really
don't want to be
crazy.
trapped in that. So tell
Yeah.
us now about your two panel discussions
All
and
right.
your art show that you've titled Black Euphoria.
Yes.
Let's
So
get all the
so
details.
those three events are happening at the Art Deco Museum on 10th and Ocean on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And the art shows the art show actually starts out on the 8th of December in the afternoon
Okay.
too, and it runs through the 10th. Now, on the 9th, I'll be doing a panel in the same venue that
Mm-hmm.
focuses on historical Black universities, the three of the leading ones, and University of Virgin Islands,
Right.
Spelman College, and our own Florida Memorial University right here in the city of Miami Gardens. So the panels, the one on Sunday has been going on for 14 years. So, and we'll have 6 talking heads talking about the Black art market, the global Renaissance, African Diaspora Renaissance movement. We'll be talking about the HBCU collections. And this year we want to talk a little bit about Black fashion as art.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
one of the artists is from Nigeria, and he's a fashion illustrator, but he also does he's a painter, very quite talented and a writer. So he's going to be on the panel talking about Black fashion because now that's a space that we're getting into.
Yes. And there's some such wild designs. I've
Oh,
seen
oh yeah. Oh God, what's going on in
them.
Africa, especially in Nigeria?
Oh, yes. They're
Lagos has
so creative with their attire, their designs and the
exactly.
fabric.
Yes, beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, this is on the 10th. Give us some dates. Our
Okay,
viewers
so
want to know.
so the 9th is the panel discussion on
Nine.
HBCU art, and that's going to be in the morning from 11 to 1 in the afternoon.
One.
Um, and then on Sunday, it's from 12 in
10.
the 10th, from 12 to 3
4.
o'clock. We say 4 because we try to stop the talk at 3, but
Yeah.
then people always want to hang out, so
Yeah.
because we'll have music, and we'll have food, and it's very festive,
Okay.
but very global. Black
So
people.
you're encouraging us all to attend, right?
Oh yeah, it's really a must do if you're interested in Black art. Must do. Because
Okay.
on my panel, I generally have a journalist who just when she's here already, and all she's doing is going to all the satellite shows and events and reporting back, which is one of the reasons why I get so much repeat quote customers who come just to hear what's going on at Basel. What's happening with the Black presence at Basel is a big thing that I do. But before I go on, I have to sneak this in, Janet, as
Okay.
a commercial break, because what I do would not be possible without my sponsors. So I have to take that. The Convention Bureau does quite well in supporting me. The Art of Black
Yeah.
is a campaign that I was really a big part of launching in Miami. It supports Black activity during Basel, and then I have a tech company that's run by a very savvy Black young lady who's only 24 years old. It's called Mushi, and they're in the sort of the tech sector of the art industry. I got to give them a big shout out. And of course, the Department of Tourism for the Virgin Islands. I got to thank them
Oh,
for supporting me this year, and other supporters. But I didn't want to sort of take the next 2 hours giving credit. But I
well,
appreciate you for allowing me to say that.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And I'm sure they're grateful as well.
yeah,
So, I guess that's it, Ludlow.
yeah. Well, thank you for
Okay.
taking the
We heard what
time.
Basel is about, your
Yeah,
involvement,
yeah,
your many years.
yes.
How many years has it been that
Don't
you've been
ask,
doing?
Janet, because I'm only 39.
No,
So
right. Okay.
yeah.
You look all of
So
39 too.
thank you.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, thank you for this opportunity to share with the Caribbean community and the broader
Yes.
community too, because I know you have a readership that expands beyond just the Caribbean folks.
Yeah.
But it's a good time for them to know that it's going on. And I wish the
Yes.
city of Miami Gardens, I did something there in 2015. And I wish they would get more involved in Basel too. It's an important thing for us to do because it really has a huge impact on the economy. And,
Mhm.
we have a lot of talent here. So it'd be a good thing
We
for us
sure
to,
do. Yeah,
you
I've
know,
learned about it. So many artists, especially in the Caribbean, as you said.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
I've
it's a
seen
good,
them.
and Miami is almost like the capital of the Caribbean, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's a nice thing for the Caribbean to know about Basel. But you know what? A lot of the artists know because I mean I'm very involved in countries like Saint Lucia and the Virgin Islands and the Bahamas. So those countries are very aware of the art sector.
Now,
And
I'm sorry, when
go
you
ahead.
say African diaspora art, right?
Mhm, mhm.
It doesn't only involve Africans from Africa, but Africans on a whole, like ourselves, right?
Yes, yeah. Well,
Right, from other countries.
when I say diaspora, I'm talking about all the descendants of people of the continent of Africa.
Yes,
And
okay.
so, if you're Jamaican and you look like me,
You're
really
African.
an African,
Yeah.
right? As long as you're a black man, I think Peter Tosh said that,
Yes.
you're an African, right? And
You're an African.
we're an
Mhm.
African, and that consciousness has been in my family for a long time because my grandfather was an associate of Mr. Marcus Garvey, and all my grandparents supported him heavily, and he's the one
Yeah,
who really started bringing that consciousness to us. That at the
that's
end of the
great.
day, we're African people.
Yeah.
So what I
So,
do is I study the art of, as not only study it, but I promote the art of the contemporary art that's produced by people of
mhm.
African descent all over the world, right?
Contemporary means modern
Yes,
now.
right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
right now. So technically in art history, anything from the say 75 to now is considered contemporary.
Okay.
Yeah. So and that market is really hot. A lot of people are investing in that sector because if you follow the auctions, wow, let's just take Jean-Michel Basquiat, who is of Haitian descent, right?
Mm.
Is the most valued American artist ever.
Oh,
Because
oh.
about 4 years ago, he sold something for 110 million.
Oh,
And that
my-
piece was originally bought for $4,000.
really?
Yeah, so you do the math, right? The return on investment
Yeah. Oh
is
gosh, it sounds
amazing.
better than real estate.
I, not even comparative, right? No, the art stuff is good, but it requires you got to take the time out to study it.
I'd
And
like to be able to afford a couple of pieces. I really do.
yeah,
So
well, you
I'll
know,
save all my money and
well, you know, I know you have your money stashed away in is it the Cayman Islands you tell me, or is it in Switzerland?
Switzerland, right?
You know,
Yes,
so
so
when you're ready to invest in art, you know how to reach me.
yes, I definitely will. I'm
Yeah, okay.
interested.
Okay. All right.
So
Thank you very much for this opportunity.
thank you, Ludlow.
Yeah,
Now take care, and
take care.
I'll see you at Art Basel.
For sure. Have a good
Okay,
one. Bye-bye.
thank you. Bye
Yeah.
bye.